And the way the media report it, and I sort of look at the media as being part of the government, really, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
The way that the media report it, rather than reporting just what absolute shambles it is that it's happening, it's all just reporting about people that are being idiots going to fuel up. But I just sort of think, if you're on empty, and yeah. I mean, I did see a video of a woman filling up, like, emptying water. Did you see this?
No.
She's like emptying 2-litre bottles of water and then filling them up with fuel next to a car.
I swear some of these are photoshopped. I saw one where this guy just had his car and then about 8 petrol cans, just filling them up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'd be the thing I would be interested to, and it was a kind of a similar conversation that was had around the bog roll last year, was how many of these people that are panic buying because they've run out of fuel have got a lot to say about some of these the people that are fleeing war in like rubber dinghies and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Don't want them over here. Don't care about them. And yet,
what's the point you make? I mean, I think you're right, but what's the point you're making?
Well, look how we react at just a little bit of fear. And by the way, I know what irrational fear looks like, so I do have a sort of an amount of sympathy or compassion for the people that are doing it, right? I don't actually tend to look at the idiots that are doing it. I look more at the government and say, look what you've made happen. But
I have to agree with you there. And I think if I reflect back on like my the way I said it, it is the government and it is the media that's driving this behavior. And once it's a bit like when you get taken by the momentum of a crowd, you got to be really brave and courageous to start doing it differently. But because there's a sort of, it's not just about you. I imagine if people were simply units of one, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But when when you have dependents, or you need it because of your work, which feeds your family or feeds your people, whether it's family or whatever dependents you have, you think differently. I wasn't really, I wasn't thinking about, I need to just have fuel in the car. I was thinking, I need to get there. But then I have to say, it didn't take me long to just go, actually, I don't need to. I'll just leave we live in Brighton. You can pretty much walk everywhere. You've got everything on your doorstep. I'll go to London, take the train, it'll be fine. And that's, that is me being able to see that actually I just need to take myself out of this situation, let it resolve. It will resolve because, 18 months ago, we thought there was going to be a global shortage of toilet paper. And there wasn't.
And I think when you start to look at like what might be perceived as irrational fear around fuel, I sent you a Russell Brand video the other day. Did you watch it?
No.
You told me about 4 times you was going to watch it. You haven't watched it?
I haven't watched it.
Do you know you can watch YouTube videos on like ×2 now?
Yeah,
I watch a lot of my videos on 1.75.
Listen, mate, I know you got time to watch YouTube videos and
I'm just good at self-care.
I'm so busy.
But what I did watch the video, I'm going to sort of paraphrase some of the things that he said. Now, he was talking about people who haven't had the vaccine, right? And there was some dude in America who's very like liberal, left-leaning and whatever. And he was saying that we should start shaming people who don't get the vaccine, right? So he was taking this guy and he was saying, you can't just say that about people. And then what he did is he took these surveys that were done in America of reasons why people didn't have the vaccine, right? And some of the things that were cited were like, something like, I'm going to get the percentages wrong, but there was around 20% of people who don't have the vaccine in America would have the vaccine if somebody paid for the childcare for them to go and get the vaccine, right? Some people that didn't have the vaccine had like dodgy pregnancies and were like really concerned about it on that sort of thing. And there was when you looked at loads of the different reasons, some of them were just like don't trust people, which is one thing, but there was a lot of these different reasons. And then there was a high percentage of people from like urban areas, people of color and stuff like that. And when he broke it down, then he said, you can't take people's fear and just call it irrational because you have a certain life and you can come at it from your perspective and not see it as being rational, right? And he said, so to simply just label and group everybody together that doesn't want to do something without listening to the complexities of their stories actually is like really defeating on what you're doing. And the reason I bring it up is just because when we look at the people that are like panic buying with fuel and stuff like that, everybody's lives are completely different, isn't they? Do you know what I mean? And you can't group everybody together and call them a certain thing when they're acting on fear, because we all have certain fears that are different all of the time.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. And I think it's similar to what I was saying, which is, you know, people have, you know, more than individualistic, even though it's presented as individualistic behavior, it's more than them as an individual sometimes.
Yeah. There's another layer to that, by the way, that, you know, kind of leans into some of the things that we talked about last week, which is that we can't start to use our life experiences necessarily as excuses for poor behavior all of the time, right? So poor behavior in the end is poor behavior, and we all have a certain amount of responsibility to make sure that, you know, we take our life experiences and try and behave in a way that is incumbent with a collective society. Do you know what I mean?